Another StarCraft 2 legend, another StarCraft Brood War veteran, TY, comes into this tournament as the last Terran standing to potentially face off against Rogue and perhaps end up against Sue. This is the World Championship Series Global Finals. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of BlizzCon. We've got another amazing semifinal coming your way. I'm Nathanius, joined on the couch by Todd, Pig, and Tasteless. How are you guys doing? How are you guys enjoying your BlizzCon so far, and what do you think of TY?
I'm having a great BlizzCon, obviously. It's exciting. We only have 2 more players left before we go to the finals. TY is a player who is so phenomenally good tactically at maneuvering around the map. I think that there really isn't anybody better than that, and it's going to be pretty tough for his opponent coming into this to deal with that.
Yeah, everybody comes into this tournament. We talk about player styles, we talk about personalities, and everybody has something that's a little bit unique to them, and TY as a Terran kind of stands out as someone who's a bit more on the tactical side. We don't call him the mechanical beast of innovation. We don't call him the madman of Gumiho. What makes him unique, you know, in your own words, Pig?
You know, TY is a trendsetter. He's a guy who creates solid build orders. He kind of goes ahead and forms the meta a lot of the time in terms of the openings. But then other players come out and sometimes they have a little bit more flair with how they execute that. What really makes TY stand out is his late game. He goes up to a higher work account than any other Terran player, where Terran players usually try to finish the game in the early to middle stages. If he thinks the game's going to go late, he's going to get a massive economy, and the same tactics that Tasteless was talking about, he's going to use that positioning to pick away at his opponent. He's just going to chip away at them, and because he's got such a big economy, he can just play a very long, extended game.
He doesn't always get the most credit for that, but I feel like his rhythm and his drops are absolutely insane. Sometimes you see him dropping like 4 or 5 places at once, and he's just trying to find a little bit of damage to create momentum to do even more damage. If one of these drops is not defended properly, then the next 2 are going to be even more deadlier. And usually that's how he finds a lot of success. So I feel like for Rogue, the key is going to be in defending those properly, potentially, if he wants to win.
What does it mean for TY to make it this far? What would it mean for him to get to the grand finals, to win this championship? We've seen him take the big trophy before, but what makes this special for him, Tasteless?
Well, first of all, this is the biggest tournament in the world, but I think the fact that we've seen, especially in that WCS Signature Series, that he has built his entire life to basically this point. He's somebody whose parents encouraged him to be a professional gamer. That's a lot of times not the case for some of these pros. Parents are very wary or concerned, but he's somebody who's looking at, who's basically, the parents said, yeah, go for it. We support you, we back you. And to win the WCS Global Championship Finals would be, I think, the pinnacle of his life, what it's built up to now.
From the age of 12, he turned pro. Like, it's like a unique case in the world.
I think it's actually 11. Am I wrong about that? I believe it's actually 11.
In Korea, like, technically the year later than the rest of the world.
Yeah, they had an extra year on.
I mean, that's just insanity, like, regardless.
So it's an 11-year-old pro gamer, yeah.
He still kept up with his studies. He does online university and all that, but you can tell, like, he dedicates most of his time to his practice, and he's very dedicated. And talking to him, he said that the pride and the glory here for him were even more important than the earnings, which still would be massive. If he was to win the tournament here again, he doesn't just become the earningest StarCraft 2 player of all time, he completely blows MC out of the water. He would be over 600,000 as opposed to MC's 500,000, which is insanity in just one single calendar year to do this.
$330,000 in a year is a lot of money, and $280,000 is the first place prize for this tournament. I mean, it's so crazy to think, you know, you put all this work, he's been playing since he was, you know, 11 or 12, and he has put all this time, his family supports him. To come out with a victory like that and get so much is really astounding. Now, let's take a look at the other side. Rogue comes in as one of the hottest players in the last couple of months in Korea, and he's shown up. He looked a little rocky versus Neve in the round of 16, but he immediately bounced back.
What fantastic story would it be for a guy to make it into the global finals at the last second, preventing SOS from coming here, and then winning the whole thing? That'd be absolute insanity. I think Rogue is peaking at the right time, and he's gonna need no less than that here against not just TY, but if he was to win, then he would have to beat Sue as well. He's definitely, I would say, like, top 3 for sure Zerg in the world, but if he wins here, we can easily say that he's the best Zerg in the world.
I think one thing that's really interesting about the way he plays is he's best when the game goes for the longest. If you end up at a game where the map's cut in half, everybody has their tech tree completed, Rogue seems to have the most experience with that and usually knows how to pull through with a victory. So I guess the big question is, can Rogue survive TY poking in? We already saw Rogue overcome so much, but TY is very difficult in the mid game to take on.
I think that's what makes Rogue so dangerous, though, is because he didn't used to be this late game player. He used to be a trickster. He used to come out with these special builds, really weird swarm host usage ever since really the start of Legacy of the Void, but he's fleshed that out with that late game play that makes him stand out so much, and it's his ability to still swap back into his old styles, pull out a weird build. We saw Swarm Host Nidus play against Neve in the group stage. He can do the whole shebang. He can pull out the crazy all-ins, and he can win late game. He's a very scary opponent.
Yeah, I think the potential for a really good long game here, considering what we've seen out of Rogue's late game and what we know TY is capable of, this should be one protracted battle, one very difficult slugfest to get to the second grand final spot to face off against Sue. It is time to go to the stage to introduce TY and Rogue.
Thank you very much, Nathanius. It is my pleasure to introduce the players for our second semifinal match. Sue is sitting comfortably awaiting the winner, and it is going to be a match between two champions. Coming up first on stage is the WESG and IM Katowice champion. He's feeling more confident than ever after taking down Innovation in the last round. Please give a warm welcome to TY. Facing TY is the IEM Shanghai and GSL Super Tournament 2 champion. He's widely considered one of the tournament favorites at this event. Give it up for Rogue! Only one of these players can claim a third title this year. Will it be Rogue or will it be TY? Let's head over to our commentary duo of Maynard and Zombie Grub to get this started.
G'day guys, it is time for the second semi-final to see who faces Sue in the grand final. Two champions colliding, the hottest Zerg ticket out of Korea against TY, one of the oldest and most long-lasting veterans in the scene for StarCraft. Zombie Grub, talk to me about this series. What are your thoughts?
It's going to be amazing. It's a TVZ, a great matchup between two great players. Rogue recently just flipping the switch this year, going from an okay, good Zerg to, as Smick said, one of the tournament favorites. TY, always a solid Terran. He had some cool builds, he had some cool tricks, but never quite, well, until this year that is, made it to the grand finals. Is once again looking to get there. That is actually Rogue, just to be clear.
Yes,
yes.
Can confirm. The generic green wing Zerg is right there. This kid on your screen right now has been having a meteoric rise towards the end of this year. And this guy, a lot would say, peaked a little early. The earlier the year looked like this is going to be incredible for TY. And then after IM Katowice, even though he's been very consistent with his finishings in tournaments and doing quite well in GSLs and so on and so forth, never quite going the whole distance and making it multiple championships or anything like that, like Innovation, who he beat, by the way.
That was certainly a surprise. The
Yes.
TVTs between them in the past offline did not go like it did at this tournament, but it's very interesting. I was checking their match history, and we talked about flipping the switch. You talked about TY maybe peaking a little bit early. That's actually reflective in their scores against each other. For a while, T1 was the one winning, and then somewhere in the summer, I don't know what it is about Rogue in summer, he just started beating them. He's actually been doing quite well.
There's been multiple summers for multiple players, but it is the summer of Rogue right now. And we are going to get into this series very, very shortly. I'm starting to feel the magic, starting to feel little tangles coming up.
Yeah.
Interloper is going to be our first battlefield for all you guys watching at home. You can see the map order is at the bottom of your screen, ticking away just there. And both players are mentally, and looks like for Rogue's case, also physically preparing themselves for what promises to be a cracker of a best of 5.
He's got to get the swarm host out,
Yeah, got to get that swarm host out of that shoulder muscle there. I mean, of course, TY as we bring up Swarm Host is the kind of guy that can mix in bio with Mech. Mech, of course, very, very popular in Korea and TVZ, but Rogue is one of those guys that's really figured it out.
Looking at their map bans here, and of course, Catalina for the Zerg player is a very common map veto for them, but then TY vetoes Acolytes, which I thought was interesting. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Acolyte can sometimes, it's got a very long rush distance. A lot of Zergs really like it. I'm sure he knows Rogue very well. Perhaps he just thinks Rogue is too scary. Maybe the builds he has planned for Rogue won't work on that map, or he doesn't have anything he feels is convincing enough. It's a lot of factors. We're all just, we're guessing here.
Well, for me, I look at Acolyte and Zerg players, and I always think Nida Swarm, which has been tough to hold in this tournament, so perhaps that does make sense. But as you said, TY can play mech, he can play bio. Certainly, I feel lately he's really been showing how much of a multitasker he could be. When he first entered into Pro League, which was a long time ago, I always thought that his best foot forward was abusing the maps. But now lately it seems that he's just like any other really, really, really good Terran, multitasking, macroing, and of course good micro.
Indeed, and there's actually a lot of things that Terrans can do in Acolyte to be really, really annoying. But as it stands, TY has that choice, and we are going to get a pretty regular-looking map pool for our best of 5 here. The winner, of course, faces Su in the grand final. Su looking to make sure that he gets his first ever grand final appearance, which would be incredible. The storyline incredible. Of course, avoiding a 7th second place would be nice.
Yeah,
but these guys also looking to make history. Neither of them have won their BlizzCon just yet. Extremely important for both these players. Money is second and glory is first. And let's begin the games, guys. Game number 1 is ready. Let's get hype. In the top left, from Splice, the Terran, this is TY. And in the bottom right, from Jeanette Grey Wings, the Red Zerg. Give it up for Rogue.
Oh, this should be a good one.
Oh, yes.
Best of 5. Of course, I would like to say that these guys are even, and they certainly made it here through their own grit. I would love to see an ace match, but we are at a first semifinal. Didn't exactly go the way that anyone expected.
No, see, I thought that was. I actually, Special said that he felt like he was maybe 50 to 60% going to win that series against Su. Of course, that didn't end up being that way. But TY and Rogue, I have to favor Rogue. I've got to play devil's advocate. A lot of people want to see a TVZ in the final, but I gotta favor Rogue here in the series just because how incredible all of his matchups have been looking for the last sort of quarter of the year, even the last third of the year. He's just really been on fire. And TY's TVZ, I wouldn't say is his best matchup.
But TY does play very differently than other Terrans, which I wouldn't say Rogue is going to be like, whoa, what's happening here? Of course, he knows TY, studied TY, played against TY a lot, but sometimes that does throw off certain Zerg players because he just plays the most defensive macro style. Pig was mentioning how much more SCVs he makes in each game. He doesn't mind that super late game, which sometimes backfires on him, but sometimes works out well.
Yeah, it certainly can. And Interloper is one of those maps where it could spiral out into that sort of path. Has a lot of choke points, has a lot of ambush opportunities with a lot of the tall grass, of course, for both players. But as it stands, neither player going for anything cheeky, just a regular Reaper expand from TY, while Rogue just going for a Hatch Gas Ball.
Yeah, well, Rogue might throw in a pool first later on in the series. Yes,
yeah, he has done from time to time.
Yeah, he's making 6 lings here, defending against his first Reaper, and of course TY going up to that factor. We don't see many bio builds anymore. Question is, mech or bio. This guy's been throwing out both and looking quite good with each.
Yeah, Special and TY are very similar players because of the amount they play together. We talked about it when they faced each other in opening week. They just have very, very similar play styles in most matchups. And Special's also the kind of guy like TY. Will throw in bio, will play mech, and be as comfortable in either. Oh, Reaper escaping the clutches of the Lings here. Just touching up, not getting tons of damage done. Looking to get a drone kill, but Rogue just saving it split second there with a Spore Crawler. Not losing this Reaper, obviously very, very important for the Terran. Needs scouting information, needs to make sure that the Zerg doesn't get too cheeky on it.
Well, same thing for the Zerg, and Rogue did go up to another 100 gas to get Overlord speed. The Reaper ducks back in. Very dangerous thing to do. Loses it before scouting the third base or back into the main to see what else was happening.
Yeah, it looked like he second-guessed his macro a little bit there. The Reaper running into the Lings a little bit before getting taken out in the end. So it does go down, and that means that TY is basically in the dark until these Hellions go across the map, which looks to be the plan. Now, is he going for Banshee? Is he going for Raven with these Hellions? A lot of Terrans want to go Raven. Rogue, being very, very safe, is getting Overlord speed with his second 100 gas after Ling speed here.
Yeah, that is going to give him a lot of safety, especially if he's diligent about it, actually getting that second Overlord pass through, which some of the Zergs have been missing. But there it finishes up, and he can go ahead and check for probably an armory, but also what exactly is going to come out from that starport. Viking first is definitely become the most common thing to do, and then it's a question of Banshee or Raven, but then Ravens have also made just a big upswing this year and are pretty good.
They certainly have the ability for mobile detection, the ability for harassment. Quite nice for denying creep, quite nice for killing drones. Good choice if he chooses to go down that path. And speaking of creep, Rogue is working on that, getting that third hatchery down, got to connect those bases and getting his Evo chamber. Now people will be like, hey, is this for Ling drop? Is he being crazy? No, this is probably just for upgrades here. As TY is going to confirm that he's going bio this game with Stim going down as that Raven comes out.
All right, this Overlord's going to get back in there and check. They also have that Raven, as you said, and the Viking. Well, I mean, eventually it's going to get that Overlord, and maybe one or two others, but with speed, it's usually not as lucky.
Yeah, down it goes. So TY doing a nice little bit of damage there. In fact, wow, he is going for double drop Overlords here. With the Overlords being so far back, they didn't seem to be in position. This one is, and the other one is just going to float it all the way over.
Well, that's the
nice
thing
Viking's looking for it.
About the speed is that you can kind of start off from way far away, but the Viking is going to be able to at least intercept it and see that it's on the way. It is going to be Lings. It's going to have a long path to get to the main base. So yeah, Rogue has got to just drop them while he can. He's going to lose the Overlord. A bit of an expense, but there is another one that could still get some damage done.
And it's just charging through the middle of the map by the looks of it. And Rogue is reinforcing it as well. That one has Queens within. And the Raven spots it here. Nice spot here for TY Pool. Gonna have to pull his units back and fight this one.
It's gonna be a bit of a scary situation for the Terran players. Like, are they committing more to this? It really is just Queen harassment.
Oh!
Rogue barely gets the transfuse, desperately trying to take down that Raven. Finally grabs it and even keeps everything alive, and then runs into the auto turret again. This guy's dangerous.
He sure is, but his bus is gone. Doesn't have any air transport for these Queens anymore. That said, though, TY doesn't have a ton of units. These Lings are just waiting for the Hellions to be gone so that they can pounce and mince up this ground army of TY.
What an interesting pressure. This really isn't very dedicated. He is making another drop Overlord, but he's also getting Lair, drones, and starting that +1 Carapace. He's leaving the Queens alone, just giving up on them. There they go down, and TY looked a little bit shaky at first, but deals with it and has his third base on location.
That was a wonderful hold there. Took very minimal damage, repairing the depot that got damaged there. Only losing a few units, and he has his third base on location. Rogue is charging up for another drop, but as we can see here with the observer showing us TY trading very well in the early game.
Yeah, as I said again, like that was an interesting push from Rogue, probably looking for the Hellions being out of position. The Queens are very sturdy. They can definitely snipe down the Viking before it really gets any more shots off, but keeping that Viking alive, getting the auto turret down, even as much of a surprise as it was, see just Queens going to the middle of the map. TY did hold beautifully and now has Stim working on his upgrade. Still has a couple of Hellions as well for Hellbats later on, and should start his aggression.
Yeah, Rogue loaded up an Overlord, but is heading off to the corner of the map here, and he is just getting his Banelings ready for a counterattack from TY, which looks to be on the way here. Hellions leading the charge with some bio through the middle and medevac support. He has Stim. He doesn't quite have combat shield, but 1-1 isn't too far off either.
He did make his armory a little bit early. As you can see, the 1-1 like isn't really that close to finishing. So the intention, yeah, to make these into Hellbats. There are a couple of Banelings, but this could be a tough hold, especially if the snipes go down on them, which they are.
Beautiful snipes here from TY. The Banelings are going down to 1 in number in total, and just this handful of Marines is going to do a lot of damage to Rogue here. These Queens do not have enough for transfusions.
I think the Hellbats are just too much of a complication. Rogue had enough if it was only the Marines, and if his Queens are still alive as well, that would have been fine, but lacking some very important units and actually really starting to snowball here.
And TY could get cleaned up here, but he's doing tons of damage. Yes, he hasn't killed many drones yet, but he's killed Queens. He traded very nicely against the Lings as well. Another group of Lings is going to get minced up by the Marines, and yes, he will finally be cleaned up, but beautiful trading here for TY.
Yeah, he's trying to save that medevac wave. Reinforcements going down the middle. He's on creep, but didn't really take time to clear that up because he saw an opportunity to do this damage, and it has worked out really well.
The Baneling nest in threat here, but he's going for a juicier target. He's going for the throw. Another Queen kill, and he's going for the Spore Crawler to make sure the medevac's can be helped out a little bit, and this time there is a tank. The Banelings have Baneling speed though, and they connect nicely with the Marines.
Perhaps not expecting that speed to kick in, but he just picks up and drops behind the tank.
TY taking game number 1 against the best Zerg in Korea right now. Oh, baby. And that means 2 things. That used to be his ID. Nicely played, TY.
That was clever. I barely even got that one. But yeah, that was I don't want to say a wonky game necessarily. Certainly we've seen Queen harassment before with the Overlord drop, and certainly we've seen the all-in version either with Roaches or with Lings, but it was kind of like this weird commitment that I think really could have snowballed on Rogue's side if TY didn't actually have all of his units together and ready to fight.
Yeah.
But instead it kind of backfired on him. You know, those lack of Queens really could have helped when TY had his push coming.
I feel like if you're like, the power of that play is to have your Queens and your Lings together. And with the Overlord still alive, of course. When the Lings got deflected and the Overlord died, I felt like just going in there with one Overlord with 4 Queens, it's a little bit risky, but of course he was committed in his decision making. He decided to go for it. But as we saw, when the Overlords are taken out, 4 Queens off creep, you're not going to win very many fights in that situation.
No, and they didn't even have that many transfuses. They'd use them on the Overlord.
See, Mom and Dad, StarCraft is sport. Absolutely.
You've forgotten.
Well, I just saw this on the camera there that the crowd has packed out for the semifinal, and the grand final promises to be no less. It is getting hype here in the convention center at BlizzCon. All you guys loving StarCraft almost as much as we do. Maybe even more so, dare I say it.
It'd be tough.
It'll be very, very tough. We love this game. And let's get into game number 2. It is going to be on Ascension to Aya. In the top left, WESC champion, I am Katowice champion. Give it up for TY! And in the bottom right, Super Tournament champion, Hottest Circ from Korea. This is Rogue!
Fortunately, his aggression just backfiring on him. Almost had enough against what TY did, but talked about his aggression. Really want to emphasize that TY with that earlier armory, I mean, that was like 30 seconds ahead of its timing usually, and don't make a mistake. Like this, I mean, in a different universe, different world, maybe in your own leagues, like that's just a coincidental awesome timing for you, but no, like purposefully putting that down earlier to get that Hellbat attack. That was cool. That was just enough.
Pretty inspired, and it obviously paid off for him. Rogue not ready, getting caught with his pants down. Does happen from time to time, even to the best of the best. TY going for a nice greedy opening here. CC first, no gases just yet. This could be, yeah, wow. Gasless expand. That's not something you see every day.
No, it's not. It really fell out of just the meta, I think, a while ago.
Yeah, people want a factory. They want Hellions. Like, it's a little bit crazy.
Yeah. What's funny, though, is that with that, the pool first, which we'd said that Rogue might do eventually, like not the early one, but just the pool first, the command center finishes much faster, so it seems kind of counterintuitive. It's actually kind of, in some maps, and especially a big map like Ascension to Ire, actually perfectly fine. If Rogue was doing something like, what Sue just showed us, right, with the 12 pool and the Ravagers, maybe this is a bit of a risky build, and Rogue does have the ability to do any build, any amount of aggression on any map to surprise his opponent, but TY takes the risk and gets away with it.
Yeah, so far so good. So he's going to have a nice little economy here in the early game. Obviously, it's a little bit hard to stay in the lead against the Zerg if you're not doing damage to them, but TY, I'm sure, has a plan or two, and likewise Rogue. Just for a real, very, very regular opening here, going for the hatch first, into his pool, and his gas, and looking like he's going to get a quick third as well.
Yeah. TY did bother going for the Reaper. Sometimes with the command center first, you just don't bother. You just go into Marines, and that's even a sign. They're kind of like, hey, where's that Reaper? But he goes for the Reaper. Gonna get some additional scouting. Rogue going for his normal opener. Just gonna have to realize once the Overlord gets in here, like, oh, that build's a little bit different. Okay, it was command center first, and just have to kind of deal with it. But he is going for his own pretty quick third base. He's not gonna be adding on Overlord speed this time, so I got a little bit quicker.
Yeah, certainly has. He's pulled out of gas here, so just getting much mineral income. Similar to sort of like the Snoot style of ZvT back in the day. Lots and lots of queens, lots and lots of drones. And he is getting that third and just Ling speed. Lings are getting across the map here, trying to avoid any kind of scouting in it. He doesn't know if there's not going to be any Hellions just yet. Doesn't know if there's going to be a Reaper just yet, so just being as careful as possible. And TY rounds out the 1-1-1 with Starport being dropped here, and Hellions will start to get produced.
Some Terran players are kind of afraid, I know I certainly am, of playing on these bigger maps like Ascension to Ire, but TY, we didn't really get to see the late game last time. He just had a really good execution, but he doesn't seem to mind. If he decides that he wants to play to 3 or 4 bases, mech or bio, this guy does it and is like, well, now you have to deal with me.
Yeah, and it's certainly his comfort zone, but if he can hit it timing, he certainly will. Rogue coming in with the first Overlord Scout. Marine not going to be able to kill that, but is going to chase it away at least. And wow, a very quick Liberator here from TY while he gets his add-ons. So they're just, I mean, these Hellions don't have an armory, so they won't be Hellbats, but they could just send the Hellions in one place while trying to hit the Liberator in the other.
Yeah, exactly. Any type of multitasking, perhaps Rogue will mess up. For me, seeing a Liberator, it's so unlikely, I feel, especially in the top leagues, to actually do damage unless the Terran player is on top of the micro. Like the first one maybe gets 2, but then it's the combination of perhaps a Hellbat attack as well, the army finally being slapped down, that actually creates those potential 12, 20 kills, you know, getting really high up.
The Lynx come in here, they see the Hellions. Don't get into the main, the front door is closed, no problem there. And Rogues, obviously the Overlord got deflected a little bit earlier, has not seen the armory. Did not get a chance to see that with the Lynx, so he didn't go into the back of that natural mineral line. Well placed by TY. Looks like Cloak Banshee follow-up as well.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe, depending on how this goes, could be like unrelenting aggression, but Rogue perhaps just feeling out like a Hellbat build is kind of just inevitable in this matchup, but the Hellions are already here. Armory's not quite done. They're just going to take out as many Lings as possible beforehand.
That's a lot of Lings going down for not much damage on those Hellions, I tell you that. Rogue's Queens are basically the line of defense here against this third base. The Liberator parks right on the hatchery in the main here. The Queen's going to reposition themselves out of Liberation zones, but they can still kill Lava and do some damage before it goes down. Meanwhile, Hellbat's hitting the third.
Rogue just made a huge round of drones. Does he actually have enough to take care of this? I think that he does. The Queens, they're not getting it. They jumped on basically. They would be able to fan out and micro against this. And TY just decides to, you know, just say, okay, that's not going to work out. I'm going to leave.
Yeah, going too deep here with those Hellbats would be a pretty bad move. Does not want to lose those Hellions. If they do morph back to run back homes, that is his map control. That is his way of keeping the Zerg honest and making sure his Lings are not attacking him. But they are trying to do just that. TY, though, has units back at home ready.
Yeah, still making Hellions. Certainly if you go into bio after this, you add on the barracks production, you take that reactor for other purposes. Ling attacks, counterattacks, and it can ruin your day. But TY is going for mech, and he doesn't have to worry about swapping that factory off for bigger and better production because Hellions are what he wants to produce right now.
Sporecrawler is technically in position, but it's sort of all the way on the edge of the creep here, worried about another Liberator. Of course, it can reposition very, very quickly here, but that low Queen gets picked up by the Banshee. Banshee gets a few drones as well, and no Spore on the natural.
Yeah, no follow-up scout with the Overlord, especially the slow Overlord is losing Rogue a lot of drones. He panics here, trying to do something to save any amount. Looks like with the Sporecrawler finishing up and the Overseer on the way as well. He pulls back that Banshee, but TY still has a lot of tools to do more economic damage.
Yeah, rough early game for Rogue here. I mean, he's got 60, nearly 70 drones, so it's a nice drone count, but all that lava being spent on things that he'd rather just have, you know, he'd rather have a 4th Hatcher on the way here, he'd rather have all these upgrades on the way, but as it stands, he has to keep dealing with these Banshees.
Yeah, finding that clever little spot there. Just 2, but 2, you know, and then another 2 and then another 2 is going to be really annoying for Rogue. He'll start his +1 melee. Does oh well, man. Question answered. The Overseer runs through here and does double check the main. Sees that it's mech. If it took around any longer, it could also see that it would be Thor's.
Yeah, double Thor drop here from TY. Gumiho rubbing his hands together like an evil villain backstage as he watches TY round out this build.
This can actually be a lot to deal with. With the 2 medevacs coming out, the micro on the Thors can be tough. They can definitely pack a punch and kill Queens, drones. Lings give them a little bit of trouble, then you just pick them up.
And he's already in the single target damage, ready for Overlords if they come through as well. And he is just sending them through. Rogue does scout it with the Overseer, sees that the Thors are on the way to third base, but they have a Hellbat and Banshee contingent on the ground to help them out.
Clearing up creep might be in order for this push, but that's going to be a lot of Hellbats if these Hellions also join up. Looks like the Ling run by is spotted, so he's going to pull back to deal with that, but he's bringing the Thors forward with this push. Does Rogue actually have enough units onto the fence to deal with this?
The Baneling's trying to connect with the Hellbats, but the split's good enough for TY to keep some of these Hellbats alive. The Thors are the big front line, the big daddies here, and they are mincing through these Queens. Rogue trying to get his Hydro count up, but the Hellions coming into the natural, and they also have Blue Flame.
Blue Flame Hellions just trying their best to roast up every single drone. Meanwhile, the front push is going decently enough. He took out a lot of Lings and a bunch of Hydras. He does lose one of them, but the Blue Flame Hellions get into the main.
Yes, he loses some expensive units here, but Rogue is siphoning drones. It's a barbecue zombie grab, 29 drones going down so far here. knocking him down to 49 in total. The Terran is shooting up into the mid-70s with his SCV count, double expanding. TY is in a beautiful position here in this game.
Double expanding on location. That is bold. A single ling over that would ruin his day, but damn, that was a very good push. Perhaps Rogue not anticipating the combination of units, rather anticipating the harassment that he had to deal with up until that point. Did not have enough units.
That's right. Rogue's going to need to start winning some engagements here if he wants to get back in this game. Needs to get that drone count up, that hatchery count up. Still not managing to secure a fourth base very, very comfortably here. He does have one, but he needs to saturate it. He's making as many units as he can, but a lot of them are Lings, and he's against Blue Flame Hellions. He's trying to get some Swarm hosts out, but when the Hellion count gets too high, they're just not that good anymore.
The Hellions getting dropped in the main base while Rogue is trying to stall out this push. T.Y needs to be a little bit careful with that, but the drones, there's not many of them left in the main base, but they are going to die.
More drones on the Barbie, Zombie Grub. Oh man, hope you like them well done. 9 more going down here. Rogue's been spending his lava on trying to make swarm hosts and drones, and he's really been against the ropes. He needs to get across the map and start doing damage or winning a big fight, maybe taking out the mech army. That's his only way back into this game.
Yeah, but Rogue's down in supplies, and you do not want to be up against a mech player with. He scouts the 4th base, he's already turning into a planetary. I don't think he quite got eyes on the 5th, but that's going to be a real heart sinker right there when he sees it.
Oh yeah, double expanding from TY, the balls on this kid, and it's going to pay off once again. These Hydras looking for that medevac. They're in a lovely position. Rogue sees it with the Overlord. TY, of course, sees it as well, so don't think he's going to dive too deep here. TY just getting that tank count up, going to get plus to attack those tanks so they hit as hard as possible. Catching some Banelings being morphed by Rogue. Oh man, that's salt in the wounds for the Zerg.
Manages to pop some Locust as well, which he could just run away from. Tangos with the Hydras, takes them out, and then skedaddles, but Hellions pretty darn cheap, and he's continuing to make a lot more. They are great against Swarm hosts. They can run around the map, continue to do damage. TY, I don't think that Rogue's gonna get that opportunity where the Terran player just mistakenly forgets Hellions, you know? Tanks look so much better. No, Terrans have learned recently, in the last couple of months, that Hellions are really good.
And Splice TY, the Liberator man, dropping more starports in the back here to get those Liberators up to make sure things get from bad to worse for Rogue. Does pick up that medevac with some units in there. Liberators beginning their harassment on this fresh new hatchery, and TY begins his push on the low ground. Will the Swarm host be enough?
Rogue's not even anywhere close to maxed out. Even supply block for a second. There's upgrades. Not looking so good, and he's up against a huge mech army, but here come the Swarm hosts.
Not too many Hellbats with these tanks. I think a few of them are going to go down to Locust here. That's going to be a nice start here for Rogue.
Just not enough Hellions. He did lose a lot on the front lines, and while he was producing more, they were stuck behind. Some Liberator harassment, and to note, TY just added on 2 more starports with a fusion core, so we could see a lot more Liberators.
Damn straight, and they're going to have that Liberation range. The Advanced Ballistics upgrade is going to be possible for TY there. Make the Liberators even harder to deal with Rogue, with no Spire, no real way to deal with them. Is going to have to start to think about it here as he goes up in a hive. Getting those Corruptors are going to be very, very important for him as the game gets longer.
Still in a very dangerous position. Rogue perhaps thinking about attacking into the 3rd base, but TY's push is just a little too dangerous. He does need this base. The economy has never been really, really as strong as the Zerg player would want. Maybe coming in from multiple sides. Where are those Hellbats to cover the tanks?
They are. They're ready for these Locusts. Down come the Locusts, and bye-bye Locusts. The Hellbats trading very nicely against them. The Hydra's trying to Hellbat as well. It just looks like way too much from TY, though. He trades very nicely here.
If he had another Locust round, perhaps this is the time to break it, but he does not, and TY is rallying the rest of his units through the middle of the map. He wants this 4th base.
He sure does. The tanks are on siege. In fact, they split against Banelings, and they're going in range of this hatchery. Rogue has to give it up. He moves back with the Swarm host. His last line of defense is starting to crumble here, Zombie Grub.
TY is adding on Cyclones. He's adding on Liberators. It's done. GG.
Oh, man. The underdog going up against the other tournament favorite. He's already defeated Innovation. Everyone said Innovation's going to win BlizzCon. Then they're like, no. Rogue, the other favorite, he's going to win BlizzCon. No. TY is on match point. Can he do it in a 3-0 sweep? Or will Rogue fight back?
Rogue has the tenacity. I certainly can see him coming back from this, but there's something off. TY has got his GOAT. just cannot deal with the early game harassment, never gets the momentum that Zerg is really looking for, especially against Mech. And TY is capitalizing every single time, forming different styles of Mech, and can always throw out a Hellbat build or a Bio build.
Certainly can throw a spanner in the works here, and he is very, very comfortable in this series. No more comfortable position than being on the match point with your opponent not having won a single map. He could be weird at this game. He could go for an all-in, he could go for a cheese. Anything he wants, he actually can give a map up. But of course, TY, he's all business. He's ex-Casper. He wants Rogue to go down in flames.
Oh, I love this story. I love this game. StarCraft 2 is a great game.
The best game.
Yeah,
the best game.
The best.
That's right.
But the story of Rogue's, peak at the end of the year, barely managing to get into BlizzCon in the first place, just looks on fire against TY, who came in like kind of, a good Terran, but is it really the best? Well, maybe it's the prize pool. Maybe he just wins things with huge prize pools.
Yeah, he certainly won a couple of those, and if he wins this third one, he will become the winningest player of all time in StarCraft 2 with that hefty prize purse, $280,000 for first place. And you know what? Again, they actually don't care about the money. They want to be the best StarCraft 2 player in the whole world. And we are not far away from finding out who that's going to be. The grand final will follow, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. The second semi-final continues here, and we are going to Mech Depot for game number 3. All right, guys, warm up those throats. Get your all caps happening in Twitch chat, because it is time to introduce the players in the bottom left from Splice, the Terran. This is TY! And if you love Rogue, if you love Zerg, if you love Genetic Green Wings, make some noise for Rogue!
Sue says that he wants to face Rogue. He'd rather face Rogue, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. TY looking to be in dominant form today as we go into the grand finals right after this. It would be quite a momentum boost. Sue already 3-0ing special. If TY could do the same thing to Rogue, we would have the two most confident players.
Yes, indeed. Just so surprised that the Sue and Special series was so convincingly 3-0. I mean, sure, one of those games was a Roach Ravager bust, and it was the earliest Roach Ravager bust I've ever seen my whole life. It was a 12-pool variety. Very, very tough to stop. So, but TY and Rogue have sort of had a little bit of a gentleman's agreement. They haven't done anything too crazy to each other. I mean, Rogue attempted the Queen Ling drop, but from that point, he's like, all right, let's play a regular game. And TY's like,
Well, that backfired.
Yeah.
He went for Hellbats, he went for a Liberator, which initially was deflected, right? Another Queen popped out as soon as that Liberator sieged up, didn't look very powerful. The Hellbats just, they came and opened the door and were like, oh, sorry, like wrong building, and then they left. It didn't actually seem like a great start, but then the constant aggression, the surprise perhaps with the Thors joining up with so many Hellbats, Rogue just did not have the preparation. TY now in this game going for a very fast third CC.
greedy, greedy boy. Will Rogue let him get away with it, though?
It's tough to say, but last game he didn't go for Overlord speed. This game again. Oh no, he does have.
He has
that's gonna be
100.
for
It'll
speed,
be for speed, yeah.
Yeah, he took out a gas.
If he gets Overlord speed before Ling speed, he's pants on head insane. In fact, it's just not something you do.
Well, if he's not going to get Overlord speed, then perhaps that third CC will not be scouted. You can dip in and see the production and kind of tell there's a third CC without actually seeing it, but will he get the chance? There are Marines on the way, perhaps scouting for that to take it out. And then there's always that problem of timing. Like, were you already planning on going to macro game? There's a third base already on the way, so can you really change it up as soon as you realize what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, if Rogue, he is getting a quick third hatchery here, but I mean, if he just lets TY sit back and get that third. I mean, the third on this map is a little wonky and a little bit hard to hold because of the, the big attack pass, but the Terran's going to be in a lovely spot. Rogue coming in here and seeing the build round out for TY. These Marines should be able to take out that Overlord.
I want to say this is really like, Rogue's going to try and keep it alive. Okay. Well, there's still some very important scouting that went down. This Overlord looks like it's going to die. 3 Marines, a lot of DPS. Okay, yeah, it goes down.
Got him.
But he scouted a barracks on the wall, no second supply depot, and no factory along with that reactor. That's a lot to tell. Third CC is probably forefront in his mind, but does he know that at the barracks are kind of off to the left, hidden, that it's not a factory opener?
Well, it's going to do some damage, otherwise TY will snowball into a very strong mid-game with double engineering bay being dropped here. He's dropping a bunker because he knows that a Ling Flood is a possibility. And these Marines will have a home to be safe as it stands. Should be fine. There's not too many links here from Rogue. TY being very, very careful.
Rogue, if he's reading this correctly, it was very limited scouting, but still an important scout, I would say. And seeing a bunker, just realizing, okay, this is a very defensive Terran. He could just, well, I mean, he could go for a Baneling Bust, I suppose, if he wanted, or he could go for the extreme greed and just keep droning and droning and droning, realizing what's going on. But a secondary scout would have been really good in the situation.
So obviously TY went for Marine opening, didn't open Reaper, so he has no scouting information of the Zerg. He's sort of just hoping that he can defend whatever comes out of it. He has a bunker, which is very, very nice, but the possibility of a Baneling Bust is looking ever present here. Rogue getting double Evolution Bay though. Evolution Chamber, wow. I'm in Terran mode, my brain. Infested Terran, I am an Infested Terran. You've seen my hair.
There you go. Yeah, he went for the drones, and he made a couple of lings. Again, perhaps just really cautious of a surprise attack. He hasn't seen Hellions yet, but they could be like being stored, and he, anything else might have been like a wonky 2-on-1 that was hidden. Perhaps he was scared of that. It's really hard to tell what's going through Rogue's head because his scouting was so incomplete.
Yeah, TY scans the natural, sees the Baneling Nest, and is like, well, time to use the cheapest, highest hit point structure to take out, to wall off this natural. He's taking it very, very seriously here.
With 5 engineering bays.
It should be fine, I'd imagine.
Extra, those are extra, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
5 extra engineering bays. That can't lift off. This isn't Brood War.
No, he's paused building so he can cancel them. I mean,
oh yes, that's very clever.
He's an intelligent human being.
TY is very clever. Anyways, but that if he gets away with this build though, then that's like an okay sunken cost there, even if it's not a Baneling Bust, which soon enough he will realize. He's trying to get whatever scouting he can. Of course, scans being the easiest, but also costly. A random SCV maybe makes it across the map and sees that a 4th base is already on their way. Like, Rogue's not going to go for aggression, and TY was fooled by that scan, but he still got his own build down, too.
He's got a good ball of Marines here, so he feels safe to come down the ramp. I mean, obviously, Stim with 1-1 on the way. He's going to feel a lot better against dealing with Banelings off creep as well. There's no way Rogue's going to have any of that anywhere near him. Armory getting dropped here for TY for the quick 2-2. A little bit off-timed, but he was being safe as possible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the engineering bays are what screwed that one up. Combat Shield is now on the way, and TY is going to have a heck of a push. There's always those races that you think are going to be more powerful the longer you let them go, and it's been typically Zerg for some of this meta. But Terran allowed to do a 3CC, early double engineering bay. Their push is quite deadly, and Rogue has got to be very careful with how he defends.
No combat shield for TY, but 1-1 in Stim is extremely scary. Zerg does not have any upgrades finished, only just starting Baneling speed as well. With medevac support, this ball of Marines can get a lot done. Ooh, nice run by here by Rogue.
Yes, that was perfectly timed, but there are Marines. There we go. And he just runs away and saves them for another day. Mech Depot does get very annoying for the Terran player in that regard. These Lings of Rogue will stay up here and come whenever they see the Xel'Naga being taken or medevacs flying over. And it could actually ruin a very good game for any Terran player.
It looks like Rogue heading up in a hive right now. We're going to get that tier 3 Zerg army. The Lings being bullied back by these Marines. They did do their job though. They kept the Marines of TY home for a little bit longer, giving Rogue time to get Baneling speed, to get the Ling count up, to get spores up, everything he needs to deal with drop play.
That is absolutely important. It's going to be very difficult to defend against any one of these pushes, and TY has split up his Marines and medevacs as opposed to a single push, but either way, it's going to be more difficult without the Baneling speed, and now probably looking for time bot to get to the hive. A huge Ling run by into the main base. Perhaps there's no supply depot, so he gets in there.
He gets straight in there. No wall at all here from TY. No chance of dropping an emergency one either. Widowmine is out for him, but Rogue is going to do a little bit of damage here, possibly even a lot.
TY was specifically hoping to stop this. Ooh. Those Lings that he was searching for ended up turning into Banelings. He has Burrow and will continue to harass TY. TY wants to focus entirely on this push, but he does notice the Banelings and pulls away. He might not notice a minute from now.
Now the Banelings weren't at home for Rogue, so TY is scuffling here against the Zerg. There we go. There's some of the main left over. Rogue doing a beautiful job here. Some of the fresh Banes being mobbed to defend as well. And Rogue doing a beautiful job on Mech Depot.
TY, it feels like his momentum has just been cut in half. He had an awesome setup. Yeah, he had over-defended a bit with the engineering bays, but he had so many units that he had a plan about, and he was hoping to stop Rogue from stopping that plan, basically. He was looking for the Lings. He had units back at home to defend against any run-bys he didn't actually catch, and didn't work. His push now has failed because of it. He couldn't pay attention to all the multitasking that he was the one that was supposed to be doing, and he's still dealing with Lings.
He certainly is, but I gotta say, even though he's losing SCVs here to Lings, his SCV count is not too bad at this point in the game versus Zerg. He is starting to take more damage at the third, though. Big league run by here from Rogue. Not many units left at home for TY. A lot of these SCVs very, very hurt as well.
It's always one less supply depot than he needs in every single base. He's trying to push, he's trying to split. The Woodamines have been taken out, and he's just gonna tap out.
GG! We got ourselves a series, ladies and gentlemen. Rogue fighting back, winning that depot against TY. And he'll have to win one more to tie it up. Nice.
I feel like that's like a prophecy or something. You get in this okay position, pretty good position, I would say, for TY. You have your drop set up. He has a plan. I'm going to do the multitasking. I'm going to hit him at 2 or even 3 fronts. And then Rogue says, no, I'm going to do that first. And gets in every single base, takes advantage of your incomplete wall-offs, and TY just instantly lost all momentum.
Mech Depot is a tough map for Terran TVZ for the most part. There are so many attack paths, lots of wide open spaces for the Zerg to run them off with those Lings, and a big open main, which makes things generally tough for the Zerg, but Rogue, as you can see, very, very prepared for the drop play of TY. All right, guys, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, it will be Game 4 between Rogue and TY.
Today, we retake our legacy. The ultimate real-time strategy game is going free to play. It's about time. StarCraft 2.
The 2017 StarCraft 2 World Championship Series Global Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
All right, guys, welcome back to BlizzCon, to the semi-final between TY and Rogue. It is heating up with Rogue getting a win on the board. TY still chilling at match point, though. Zombie Grub, have you been enjoying yourself?
Yes, that is a good way to put it. I have been enjoying myself. Thank you. Have you?
Hell yeah, is the PC way of agreeing with what you just said just now. I am having an incredible blast. I'm so blessed and honored to be invited to this tournament and all to commentate to any tournament really, and especially for the semi-final in such an incredible crowd. The most incredible crowd I've seen since Katowice in March. All you NA Passion Lords, and I think I just saw a wonderful Observer Funker in the crowd enjoying it from the seats as well.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah, of course. We shout out to our observers.
Yes, have to give love.
Days. Yes.
Coca, Funker, and our boy Kevin, who Mapu has been at every single WCS event this year, also running the clips backstage, working very, very hard for production. Hope you guys have been appreciating it, because we certainly, as a commentary team, been making our lives a lot easier.
That it does. Longer the days where you had to do the casting, observing, and everything else.
Oh God, imagine if we were reserving this thing.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, just give us the microphone, please. And give these kids a keyboard and mouse, because it is time for game number 4, and we're going under the sea to Abyssal Reef to see who comes through. Will it be a tight series, or will TY close it out? Let's get into it. In the bottom right here from Splice, the Terran still in match point. Make some noise for TY! And in the top left, he's still against the ropes, but he's not out. He has a life left. This is Jin Air Green Wings Rogue!
Was that game the momentum switch that Rogue needed? He certainly did it in the middle of the game. TY had his plan, had his greedy build, had the shot, and then Rogue just ruined all of it with some nicely planned Ling run-bys. That's kind of what this guy does to get into the game, to get into the guy's head. Certainly he tried that game number 1, and that resulting failure really, I felt, like impacted that game, and of course game number 2, which TY also took. So for Rogue to finally get that opportunity to be aggressive and have it work out, is this his comeback?
Rogue's decision making on Mech Depot was brilliant, and it really makes me confident for him to be able to tie this up and make it an ace match. But of course, he has to get through TY, who's just been looking monstrous in the quarterfinals and now in the semifinals so far in the series. There's so many situations where a player's been 2-0 up and then the other player reverse sweeps. Of course, it'd be heartbreaking for TY fans out there, but we've got to know those Rogue fans are getting wiggly and jiggly in their chairs, seeing this kid looking better than ever.
The ZvZ fans.
Those ZvZ fans, yeah, that's right. They are out there. They are out there, believe it or not. And the cheers from the crowd. There we go, all right.
Yeah. I think if we asked who liked TVZ, though, I might get a few more cheers.
Yeah. Woo, for me as well, I like TVZ. Double gas from TY after he expands as well, so getting out of that factory nice and quickly, probably a quick starport.
Yes, so that third CC build, you know, you throw one of those out, it's kind of like the opposite of the 2 racks cheese in its own ways, but it's cheesy. And it didn't work out. You know, it wasn't necessarily because the build itself was bad, like Rogue Knight turned all in and we didn't have anything, it just didn't quite work out. The lack of pressure, the lack of scouting from TY probably really affected him mentally, you know, to have to actually scan, first of all, Terrans never want to do that, and then to see a Baneling nest, when you know that they know what you're doing, and you see that, that's got to be, well, a warning sign. And obviously we saw 5 engineering bays go down. It probably really impacted how TY thought that game was going to go. And, well, he eventually would lose it. We're on Abyssal Reef here, though, and certainly Rogue will take advantage of all the pathways to counter and run by here. He's already hidden some of those Lings from the early pool away from the Reaper that TY is using to search for this.
Yeah, absolutely. TY wants to catch Lings. He wants to shave off the potential harassment in the natural. Even just a handful of Lings. 4 or so Lings in the natural is really, really awkward to deal with, especially when you're trying to get a reactor up, which takes so long to build. It means you're not producing any more units back at home. Basically, your army is this Reaper. So it's up to him to deal with these Lings, and they have speed now, so a little bit dangerous.
Ooh, all right.
All right. Looks like some two-port Banshee shenaniganry.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, this is going to be, well, first of all, if Rogue had been able to get those Lings into the main base, you scout forever for them, you barely don't find the Lings, and then you don't realize they're running on your supply depot, that is an amazing scout for Rogue, but it didn't happen that way. Rogue didn't really get to use the pool first to do very much. He didn't get the scout, he just brought those 2 Lings back. Will he be just utterly destroyed by the 2-port Banshee, or will something else come in here to see what's going on? He did get Overlord speed, I believe, at the finished. So he'll at least be able to scout it, but he's got to get in there. There we go.
Well, you know what doesn't shoot up? Roaches.
That's
Speed
very
Overlord
true.
here coming in for Rogue. Well, he drops that Roach Warren back at home. Does see the second starport, does see the tech lab, and now Rogue knows what he has to do. Needs to get those spores up, needs to get that Queen count up.
The Reaper, I mean, it might just die scouting this 3rd base, but sticking around for much longer, seeing how many roaches could possibly pop out would be like really useful for TUI. Not so much, of course, for a direct attack to the front, because that's where his Banshee's kicking and it's no big deal, but more so to know if it's pairing up with an Overlord drop of Queens.
Losing that Reaper kind of sucks for TUI, but he is going to switch it up. He knows he's been scouted, and Rogue may know that he knows. Mind games coming in here from TUI. He's getting his double Liberator instead of double Banshee here. Does have those tech labs, but neither tech lab is spinning.
Is that... I'm very curious to see how this is going to go down. Of course, his plan was to go for the Banshees, speed and cloak eventually, something Innovation was doing only like a month ago, basically. But now switching over to Liberators with Hellbats. I want to say the best opportunity with this build would be to go for direct attack, but he might just go for a bunch of harassment. We do have a lair on the way for Rogue. He did get at least 1 drop Overlord, and it was going to pick up the Queens, perhaps. Well, that was just running away from a Viking. Now has to be transfused. Is saved. What is Rogue going to plan to deal with this?
Yeah, I mean, a big Roach attack with Queens, with the Overlord to help out, certainly could counter this kind of play. But he's getting his Spore Crawlers, being very, very careful here. And he's got Ravagers on the way, and now Ravagers are a fantastic addition to deal with Liberators. But, and the Roaches can definitely deal with the Hellions, but that is a lot of Hellion Zombie Grove, and he does have an Armory.
TY is making, I think, like, you know, like a... He's really mixing up his build, hoping to catch Rogue off guard with more than the amount of Liberators you would expect. It has started now. He has gone for the harassment, but now he's switching over into Cyclones.
Okay.
So perhaps going to be a very aggressive, constantly testing the waters of what Rogue has. Rogue, nicely done, going to be able to potentially cancel the CC. The Hellions are out of position. Yeah.
And there's that cancel. That's a beautiful pick off there for Rogue. TY looking for some drone barbecue one more time. He's getting a good number as well. Oh, man.
Oh, gosh. That's 17 drones right there. There's an attack to the left side as well. Liberator still to deal with eventually, of course. And looks like, well, it is cleaned up. 21 drones just by running up the natural ramp is pretty good.
And that's forcing Rogue's hand here. He's getting a Spire a lot quicker than you expect. Looks like he wants to maybe pull a fast one. Could he get a ball of mutas? He just doesn't have the drone count for that kind of thing, though.
Well, yeah, he's at 44 drones, not too impressive, and he is remaking it right now. You know, very curious to see if TY is going to be able to get any eyes on that Spire. He's going to be dealing with a little bit of aggression first.
Losing the Cyclone really hurts his chances against these Roaches and Rabbits. His Liberator can be nice, but he definitely wants Cyclones for this. The Banshee, of course, can help out as well. Rogue starting to batten down the front door.
There was a lack of units after dedicating so many Hellions, all of his army really, that he had to wait for the Banshee to pop up. But finally they are here, unable to save the Armory. That +1 can be very important, especially if he was going to continue with Cyclones. Chasing down the rest of the units, at least he's going to get these ones.
Yeah, he will make Rogue pay with these Roaches and Ravagers. But getting that Armory, slowing down his upgrades, means the mech is going to be less powerful for a little while here for Rogue. The double factory does go down.
Yeah, and the most important thing about that push is, of course, TY wasn't scouting. I don't think he was using his Liberators to run around the map or his Banshees. They had to be at home. He actually did see it. Oh, okay. Does he have any defenses, though? He's getting Vikings, but I don't see missile turrets. He does have an engineering bay.
Does he have tech labs on these factories? They're on the way. He has an Armory just about to finish up, so he can get Thors.
Thors take a long time to build. I mean, these aren't that many mutas. It's not like 20 that's instantly going to, you know, GG out of the game. But Vikings can only do so much. Really, their great addition is their range to kind of back up missile turrets if there are too many mutas. All right, there are the missile turrets. Actually pretty perfectly timed. Should have known better. TY's on the ball, but still playing pretty macro aggressively, I guess you can call it. Expanding again on location.
Yes, indeed. Overseer coming in here sees the primary air army here of TY, which is actually relatively scary. Banshees, Liberators, and Vikings. making up the composition there. And of course, the Thor's on the way here with the second armory for TY. 2 more factories going down, and he's going to start belting out those scary mech units. Siege tanks to follow, and more Hellbats to make up the ground forces. Rogue switching tech already, getting a Hydroden and also Swarm Host. He's ready for late game mech.
I love seeing the 2 medevacs pop out from the double starport build. Of course, no reactor needed if you just have 2 of them anyways. And you will be able to use Thors. Mutas can't really help take those out. Thors will demolish them. The Swarm Host could certainly be interesting. Last time we saw him, Rogue was already on the back foot. Like, he really couldn't utilize them like he usually does. This game, very different momentum-wise. He's going to get a lot of Locust waves out.
Nice little move here from Rogue, getting a Speed Overlord down here with Roaches within. Trying to pick off some workers here. TY trying to chase down these Mutas.
The Vikings are looking for this Overlord, barely going to miss it. That will be annoying to deal with. But
they will deal with it though. Yeah, it should be just fine.
Yeah.
Just 3 Roaches, 1 Overlord, not a huge deal here. Is splitting TY's attention away though. So a little, I mean, it's just the barracks down here taking some damage from the Mutas. The Thors are trying to chase them down, doesn't want to have to worry about those units later in the game. 7 Mutas still can be a harassing option for Rogue if TY's not thinking about them.
The Thor's going to be able to do some scouting and some harassment and maybe even some time buying as Rogue starts his Locust attack. He's going to be able to take out buildings very, very quickly. I'm just wondering if TY had enough Hellions. He does, in fact. And you can always micro the Thors with the medevacs too. That's probably the coolest thing I feel has come around in the last month or two, is microing the Thors. You drop them, get the Locust on top, and you pick them up again and you leave, and that's a waste of a very long cooldown.
Yes, indeed. Roach play here from Rogue, trying to come down and do what he can with these Roaches. Of course, he doesn't really want too many anymore. He is making 5 more, but it's going to be all about the Hydra count and Swarm Host as mech goes forward. Scans here from TY, doing a good job trying to keep the creep spread at minimal here, although Rogue's doing not a bad job at all.
Rogue is powering up on his upgrades. TY continuing to power up on his command centers. I want to say that he's a little bit too greedy, but he's actually keeping his minerals and gas like pretty even to the command center. Just seemed to be an accessory that he's okay with getting. Still using the Thors. A lot of multitasking is going down here despite being mech versus Swarmos, which sounds like a slow composition, a slow game, but these guys constantly moving around, checking to see what they can do.
Yeah, they are serious business here. And the Hellbats have been morphed. They're going to deal with the Locusts a lot more effectively. The tanks are on the back line. Once again, though, these Mutas are still alive, being harassing tools here for Rogue. TY took a lot of SED damage earlier during all this harassment, but he is still not very far behind the Zerg worker count.
It's tiny things here and there that if Rogue had a 1 swift punch to the face, perhaps TY is out of position. He's going to grab a couple of tanks here, and that's pretty nice. As I was saying, TY still has an okay army supply, still doing his own harassment or attempting to. Scans even going down in a lot of different locations. He has enough command centers to suppose to the 4th base, even in orbital. He's trying to see what the army looks like, how prepared does he have to be for that attack, and are there any spellcasters? The Hive has actually just started.
That's right. So with Hive, he's going to be able to get that Viper count out, which is going to round out pretty much the exact composition that Rogue wants until the ultra late game where he may get more Spire units. The Locusts are coming in and they're looking for that tank line. The Hellbats doing an all right job against the Locusts though. Yeah. A lot of them do go down.
Oh, not bad. I mean, Rogue's continuing with this. Just every 30 seconds, a couple SCVs go down. It's really starting to add up. It's really taxing TY, who on 4 bases with a decent army supply would really love to just be calm and thinking about how to take on the big army. Instead, he's having to deal with so many little attacks.
These Lynx looking for another way in, but this time TY looks to be on the ball with Hellions in position. Does stop the Lynx from getting too much done here, but Rogue's creep spread is starting to spiral out of control. Half of Abyssal Reef is covered by Rogue right now.
That is a little worrying. TY with some strong upgrades on the way, pretty much even with Rogue, and still, I mean, he's surviving every single attack here. 10 SCVs plus 10 sounds difficult, but he's able to get maxed out on 5 bases with the important units in tow and before Vipers are out.
Yes, indeed. And all these Locusts actually got wasted from Rogue as well. They're not getting much done at all. They're now coming on a creep looking for that tank line, but they die before they kill anything. So TY actually pushing this location. The Swarm Hosts are on cooldown.
This is dangerous. He's cleared up a lot of creep very quickly. He has those upgrades finishing up, and it's just a strong mech army. The Locusts really have to come in here and get on top of the tanks, not the Hellbots, on top of the tanks, and perhaps then Rogue can bust through. But the Banelings also need to be considered. There's going to be so many of them. Doesn't seem like the most intuitive thing against mech, but here it goes.
He's timing this out with the Locust Swarm as well. Is this Rogue's time? He's rolling on in, and will he roll through TY, or will TY hold?
The supplies are still pretty even, which usually does not bode well for the Zerg. Of course, the Swarm host now useless for a few more seconds. Can't really do very much. Aren't very good supply. TY held with a lot of his tanks alive.
And this hatchery is going to have to pay the price here for Rogue. He needed more damage than that. He got damage done, but the Swarm host army supply is really taxing. Swarm hosts take up, like, I think 4 supply each. They are just not a good indication of army size.
Of course, with only tanks and Liberators, you got to get out of there before the Locust wave comes through. That's when you lose those really important, hard-to-make units. Rogue finally getting a couple more lings in here, too, to perhaps buy some time. Rogue had a bank. He was on a lot of bases. That was an okay fight for TY, but Rogue instantly remaxes, and now he's going to have Vipers on his side.
Yeah, army looking a lot better for Rogue this time. Did unfortunately lose a hatchery, but his hatchery count is not too bad. Is still in this. 6 Corruptors on the way now to deal with these Liberators. Rogue sending out a big Locust Swarm towards these siege tanks. Is there enough Hellbats? Actually, not that many Hellbats here from TY.
No, TY also made Cyclones again, which I feel like he did last game, and I was really wondering about. Doesn't seem as helpful as just having a lot more Hellions here. He does take care of the Locust, however, even getting a couple of drones disposed with, there we go, Liberator harassment. And he's going for a lot of Liberators. He added on those starports, and he's adding on Liberator range.
TY is the only Terran I've ever seen that takes like 30 supply of SCV kills and still has more workers than the Zerg. 81 against 68 drones here of Rogue. Rogue trying to double expand to get the hatchery damage undone here. Meanwhile, the multitasking of TY, consistently sending out these Liberators one at a time to get those drone lines harassed. Advanced ballistics, of course, also on the way to make these Liberators even scarier.
I imagine in a different game, TY gets a lot of damage done with these Liberators that is microing, that have range, because Aspire just comes so late in a lot of TVZs. But Rogue got it very early. He already has Corruptors. Yeah, multitasking against them is going to be difficult to do, but TY's going to start losing a lot of map control, I feel. You know, that creep spread did get cleared up a little bit, but 5 bases easy to take on Abyssal Reef. The 6th really get questionable.
Does indeed. Looks like a cancel here for TY. Rogue doing some lovely harassment damage and also pooping some creep to make sure that it's tougher to get that CC drop on location. But we got a big push here from Rogue, forcing the lift up from TY. He has to give it up. The SCV's pulling out of there.
The tanks were not sieged. They were trying to go back to safety, but the tanks were actually like, no, actually, we need to do something besides just siege up here. They're going to push forward, but the army is there.
Oh, no! TY only sieges up just now. Rogue moving in with these Banelings. He is kind of choked up a little bit with the blinding clouds, making things so much easier for him.
I'm not sure why TY thought that was the best time to move out. He soaks up a lot of the Banelings, but the Liberators need that support. There are some Vikings here, and in fact, on siege, there's enough Liberators that they could take out the Corruptors. Rogue's forced to make 9 more. Ends up being an okay trade. Find some Swarm hosts as well.
Yeah, these Swarm hosts going down really will suck for Rogue. Has to get those Locusts out just to bully back TY. But his air army, look at this air army. The Corruptors are coming in, but the Vikings will do all right against it. Against these Corruptors, the Queens, though, transfusing them to try and keep them alive.
Is this a desperate maneuver just to buy time, or does he really think that he has enough air army to continue the momentum? He is getting a lot of economic damage done and now rallying forward with Hellions and Cyclones again. He's able to beat out the Corruptors that are coming in one at a time, but now has Lings to deal with.
Certainly does, and the Lings are making things pretty difficult for TY back at home. Meanwhile, he continues to push with his air army. That orbital is so low, it's looking like it's going to burn down. Rogue breaking up some leaks, going for the mineral line as well. Rogue starting to spiral out of control here. Yes, he's losing a lot of drones. He doesn't have much at home, but he's doing a beautiful job against TY's army.
What is this game? This is like an economic trade, both losing around similar
the
workers.
Cyclones. It's like, no! That Cyclone's never had a worse day in its whole life. The CC's still on fire, by the way. Hellions looking for some more drone kills. Both players taking extreme damage to their economy.
TY lost some very important units. Rogue still has a lot of these Swarm hosts left over. The Hellions finally cleaned up. Who came out better from that trade? What a wonky situation. TY forced to retreat, forced to continue building the strong units that take forever. Has Liberators that are once again probably outnumbered. Yes, they are. The Corruptors are chasing them.
They certainly are, and Liberators just have to give up the goat with their tails between their legs. These Swarm hosts are being chased down by the Hellions, but they will be off cooldown shortly. There's the Vipers, but no Vikings to be worried about here.
Oh, the Cyclones could have tried at least taking out one. There's 4 of them. Their anti-air's not that good, but they could have tried. Missed opportunity perhaps, but now going after the base. Locusts were coincidentally ready to go, and Rogue is we're not going to be able to save it. Locusts have a lot of damage, but Cyclones do too.
They certainly do. Rogue's mineral bank hurting a little bit here. He's trying to make what he can. Of course, gas more important in the late game, but he's spending so much of his minerals to try and get the drone count back up. With TY consistently, somehow, some way, through all this chaos, doing more and more drone damage to Rogue.
What a scrappy game. I feel like TY it's doing the opposite of what mech players are supposed to do. They're supposed to wait for a decent number of units, very strong units, and then push all at once, but he keeps on seeing momentum, and he keeps rallying forward with the fastest units possible.
And he's targeting down that hatchery. Will he get it though? The Cyclones, I think, exist to make sure that he can trade quickly and efficiently against these Swarm hosts. Another Ling run by here by Rogue, but there is a Blue Flame Hellion. It looks like it's, I mean, they needed a friend there to help him out, but these ones are looking for more drone kills.
Oh, 16 SCVs is brutal, but part of the reason he's losing so many SCVs is that he has so many orbitals, so it's a really weird dynamic happening here. Planetaries would have stopped a lot of this. Missile turrets would have stopped this one. The command center does go down. TY down to 4 orbitals, or perhaps, yeah, 4 orbitals, I believe, and is pushing forward with his army, but he's half the army supply.
TY trying to go ham here. He doesn't feel like he has longer in this game, and I agree with him. He needs to end the game very shortly, or it is going to be a tied series and an ace match here. TY on this hatchery. These Hellions, these Cyclones are actually incredibly important.
It's such a weird army from Rogue. He has Corruptors take out the Liberators, and he has Locusts that can sometimes help take out the Hellions and Cyclones, but for large portions, like 30 seconds at a time, Hellion and Cyclones actually have nothing that can deal with them. The Corruptors can't help, and the Locusts are on cooldown, so he keeps on sniping these bases, getting the drone kills. So even though he's down in army supply, it's the weirdest situation, and TY is trying to take the most advantage of it. He did have a large bank, so he plants down another command center, now also planting down missile turrets, really afraid of the Corruptors.
Of ducks on Hellions. Not something you see every day going down here from Rogue. More and more Hellions being popped out for TY. He can make them so easily. He still has a decent enough mineral income to keep this up. Rogue is adjusting. He's starting to make some Banelings to deal with them, which is going to be nice here.
He's also starting to split up the Locust wave, so he always has some in the back pocket when something like this happens. The leftover drones are barbecued in a very low economic situation, but TY with the orbitals would eventually win out if he could just get a sizable army.
I feel like these Corruptors are actually just a harassment tool now. Continue to caustic spray those structures down one at a time. What can TY do against it?
TY just canceled like this. You saw the Corruptors. It didn't matter if it was 90% down. He's like, no, they're definitely going to get it. They're going to get this one as well.
Yeah.
He tried building some missile turrets, but there's so many Corruptors with such good armor as well. Oh, don't move!
Oh man, TY, no! Losing so many of these Hellions here to the Hydralisks and the Locusts. Oh, and Rogue can just keep doing this. There is no answer for these Corruptors.
The Corruptors are dealing so much damage. The Banelings
GG! Ace match, baby! We're going to game 5. One map to decide whether TY or Rogue will face off Sue to be the greatest StarCraft 2 player of 2017.
What was that game? The compositions ended up so weird. They both were really just reacting to what they saw. That wasn't a plan for most Terrans or Zergs out there, and they tried their best. I think TY, actually, I think he had a really awesome idea, but it was always going to be hard to execute successfully mass Hellions in a 20-minute game.
Oh man, Rogue's momentum has switched here. He's looking like he's on the precipice of a reverse sweep, and we'll see as game 5 rolls out. Crowd is intense, games are intense, and we're getting intense as well. This is starting to really heat up here, literally and figuratively.
I can't believe we went to the ace match. Truly, Rogue's third game ended up bringing the momentum back. That game, I don't think TY should be too disappointed with it. I feel like that Mech Depot game was just disappointment all around for our Terran player, but Abyssal game, he had a good opportunity. He got kind of the game that he wanted, and he had, as I said, a decent idea for what to do. So he can't be too disappointed. Hopefully the ace match, he collects his wits again. He started this up 2-0. He knows he can beat Rogue again, but does Rogue have too much momentum?
Does he indeed? It's not the first time TY has made it to the grand final stage, and neither for Rogue. He is the IM Shanghai champion, also Super Tournament champion. TY, a multiple-time champion as well. But the one that matters the most is about to be decided, rounded out in one more map. And we are going to Odyssey for our final battleground in this second semifinal. All right, Anaheim, how are those vocal cords? Let's get into it. In the bottom right here, one last time for Splice. This is TY. And in the top left from Jeanette Green Wings, make some noise for Rogue.
Brings it back after a 2-0 and a very convincing 2-0, but hold on here. TY has sent out SCVs. Is Rogue going to be prepared? Rogue has been doing a lot of hatch firsts in this series, and it looks like he might just be doing it again. The Overlord, though.
Oh, the Overlord. How many times in StarCraft have we seen a Game 5 go so wonky like this? Can it be quick and dirty? Will this be the end? One of these players is going to go home. I cannot believe it. Rogue or TY will be eliminated from this tournament with this map to be the decider. This Overlord coming over the grass, scouts the double racks from TY, and already things are a little rough for the Terran.
And even better for Rogue is that he gets to get out of there without revealing that it was revealed. So TY, can he make this at least acceptable for a macro game? Because that's really the question here. This wasn't a 4 racks Marine, super dedicated. He is going to get the gas with it. Reapers don't exist anymore. If you guys are here last BlizzCon, you probably recognize Reapers, but this isn't it. The Marines are going to come out, and he's going to try and do some amount of pressure to at least give him an okay situation, as unfortunately Rogue, with a mental edge here, should be fine.
Oh, will he drop the extra barracks? No, please don't, TY. So he is going to send more SCVs across the map. This is actually a lot of committed pressure from TY. Rogue, of course, got his hatchery immediately. His spawning pool immediately after his hatchery. So he has a good drone count, and he's going to fight this one with the workers. It's a citizen's arrest.
It's so far away, though, that TY, just by running back and not letting the bunker finish, might still be getting a decent amount of damage. He's running back to the barracks. He wants as many Marines as possible, but he's going to get surrounded.
He's picking up drones one at a time. The Marines are getting low, though. 2 of them very, very low hit points picked off by Rogue. But more Marines rallying in, and I agree with you, Zombie Grub. This is a long distance for these drones to travel. That's denied mining time.
I feel like this happens so often. There's always the Zerg player who says, well, I know what's happening, and I can deal with this instantly if the drones get us around. They go way off of creep, and then they realize that they actually can't. So the Lynx have to come forward. They definitely have to help out. The bunker, I don't know if it's going to be able to finish, but if it does, TY would finally have something safe to jump into.
Well, there are multiple SCVs here. The bunker does not finish. That's a lovely pickup for Rogue, but there are 4 Marines that started stepping. More Marines are on the way here. He's trying to get a factory back home. Nice surround from Rogue, picking off the Marines here, and TY's got to give up the middle of the map.
He has back at home started that factory, but he is not going to have a lot of units. There are a lot of Lings. There's a wall off, so he shouldn't be broken immediately, but he did not get the exact damage he was looking for. He was looking for actual drone kills, ideally a hatchery kill, to just force out Lings, get a couple of drones. Was that really good enough?
I don't know, Zombie Grub. The balls in this kid. I mean, his worker count's not too bad, and a lot of Rogue's workers, of course, got pulled off the line there to fight. So maybe things will even out into a mid game, but as it stands, TY not getting the start he wanted at all.
Well, we have seen a lot of really great Terran players. Innovation comes to mind.
Wow, exact trade. 575 minerals each. If this was a close enough match, now I can confirm it.
Yeah. But yeah, you've seen a lot of great Terrans come back to the situation where the T-Rex didn't exactly do what they wanted. The reactor cannot be repaired when it is building, which is a little bit of a complication, but it was just fast enough.
Should be just fine.
That it's fine.
Yeah, does survive. Hellions on the way here for TY. The Lings are not going to get the damage done. You know, TY has to spend minerals to repair here, so it's a little bit of damage as those Lings continue on that reactor. But as the Lings also see, TY is expanding on the high ground here and looking to play a regular game out of this.
Oh, okay, so...
Yeah, take a breather.
Take a breather, everyone. We're going to go into a macro game.
Shake off the early game. Shake it off.
Yeah, Rogue, I mean, maybe he goes aggressive later on, but as of right now, going for the drones, taking advantage of what he knows is not going to be a lot of pressure for a while. The Hellions are like a little scary, but really just a decent number of Queens and Lings to take care of that for the most part. Of course, later, if you think about armories, Rogue not going to be going for Overlord speed and getting his Overlord snipes now by a Viking. Doesn't really know what TY is going to do.
That's going to supply block him for a bit here. He doesn't have any more Overlords on the way either. So Rogue's dropping a Roach Warren, so it's showing us the tech here. He is going to deal with these Hellions with Roaches. But yeah, nothing's going to come out for him for a little while. He's got 2 on the way now, but yeah, that'll be it. So bit of a sting in the behind here of Rogue. That Viking doing a nice job for TY in the early game.
This medevac for the Hellion drop is a really non-committal unit. It's something that hopefully lives forever, basically, and continues harassing. You go for a Hellbat push and it fails, you're in a bit of trouble, but the medevac, just a little bit of scouting, ideally some harassment, and you can get out of there and continue on your merry macro way. But we'll see if Rogue's gonna be prepared for this. His vision has been cut by that Viking.
Roach is on the way now. Lair, of course, halfway done for Rogue. The Overlords, of course, being cleared out by the Viking, like you said, but Rogue is ready for it. He's coming down here with the Queen, some Lings to help out as well, but these Hellions can unload and just run on past her.
Usually, if you see they're prepared for it, you don't even bother trying, but maybe seeing that the speed is not on the Lings, goes for it. Queens respawn, Roaches pop out, Medevac's to be kept in the corner. He's looking for the tasty lineup, but it's not going to be found.
Not really, only getting 2 drones so far. Hold that thought though, 4 more Hellions, and Rogue doesn't have much to split here. 2 Roaches hatching from the natural are going to help out, but the drone count is getting barbecued.
This is turning into some nice damage, 11. That's going to be at 11 drones with a lot of Hellions, however. Armory is on the way, and I feel that we're going to have another mech game.
Yeah, certainly looking like it. Medevac, of course, just needs to go home. She's got no one to help out. Poor thing. And Rogue has to just replenish this drone count, but a Liberator also going to be a bit of a thorn aside. No Spore Crawler, Queen not in position. Pew pew laser beams, bye-bye drones.
A little bit of a late reaction right there, and just another denial on mining time as well, which you really have to consider in this game, considering how it started. So many drones not mining for a long period of time. Rogue going for a Spire follow-up again.
Putting it in a really wonky spot.
No,
and
he's
canceling
not.
It. Wow.
Just kidding.
So, JK LOL. So Rogue actually is, looking a little shaky here, second guessing his decisions. 2 Queens coming in here. They should be able to deal with this Liberator with transfusions, but that's a lot of denied mining time.
Yeah, got a little bit scary.
And a couple drones as well before it goes down.
Yeah.
Rogue looking a little shaky in this game after the early start.
Yeah, these are the signs you really start thinking has his just mental game cracked, with the opener perhaps not being dealt with as fast as he would have hoped, and the Hellions actually catching him off guard. TY has certainly done the damage he hoped for with the Hellions at the very least, and now has a comfortable way into the mid game with the 3rd CC on location. And is that, yeah, 3rd CC on location, there we go.
Yeah, certainly at the north there. Well spotted, Zombie Grub, 20/20 vision as always. And we've got our add-ons rounding out on the factories as well. So we're going to see some Hellions and Thors coming down here. Probably more Thor play harassment. I mean, loading up those Thors with those Medevacs has just been a solid staple for mech openers for TVZ for so long. That's a pretty safe bet here for TY. This Viking is getting work done, by the way, just taking out Overlords all over the shop. 2 kills going down, also pushing them back off the map. The Overlords of Rogue, there's only 1 near the main.
That's the thing. I mean, 2 Overlords isn't that impressive, but the amount of, the lack of scouting that it's caused
pushing them back
has really been the great damage dealer. We finally have Overlord speed on the way. Rogue continuing, well, finally, I guess, starting his +1 upgrade. TY already about halfway done on his. Setting down these supply depots that he loved. You saw a lot of these in his TVT. They're pretty nice sites.
Yeah, 100 minerals for an early warning device.
Yeah.
It's quite nice. Of course, got to keep that supply coming though. You don't want to lose those and then not be able to produce more units.
Yeah, that's like it's always a bit of a questionable thing. This is actually done in Brood War too, and I think it was also a bit weird. The Hellion dies not too bad, but a Slidey dies sometimes that supply block too.
Certainly does. We got 1-1 on the way here for Rogue. So he's going Roach Ravager probably into Hydralisk because his Hive should be on the way relatively shortly. A big ball of Hellions coming in. Rogue is ready with a lot of Roaches though. He does push him back.
But
what about the Thors?
Yeah, the Thors come in to help out here. There aren't that many Roaches. I mean, I feel like it's sizable enough that reinforcements are going to be coming. You can't really do a lot of damage, but yeah, +1 is hitting with this.
10 seconds, it will be done, and that's going to be some heavy hitting Hellbats and Thors. Rogue is going to pick this fight here. Will it be an overextension from Rogue, or will TY push him through?
Those Roaches were quite clumped up when they ran into those Hellbats. A lot of extra splash damage goes down, but the Queens come forward, snipe one of the Medevacs, and TY has to get out of there whatever he can. That was a lot of Roaches that he traded with, so maybe not the worst right there. But TY also banking a lot here.
Yeah,
what? Point out this macro, but maybe extra command centers gotta be thrown down.
Yeah, a little bit of strange. Maybe both players getting taxed against the ropes here and not playing their most clean and crisp game. But we do see, with the Infestation Pit done, Rogue going for his much beloved Swarm hosts. They were fantastic on Abyssal Reef, not so great in earlier games, but will they be the unit of choice here on Odyssey? TY is going to drop a 4th and a 5th base at the same time, or at least attempted to. He's got one down to the gold, trying to drop one here as well. And Rogue just marching those roaches on down to try and make sure that that gold gets cancelled.
Feeling a lot like last game. You know, the 2 racks aside, basically, but TY being aggressive, expanding everywhere, and probably turning him to orbitals again. It was a weird effect of kind of backfiring on him because he didn't have any planetaries to hold against the Ling run-bys, but then again, he had a ton of mules and scans to help him. Looks like Rogue hasn't seen the gold base quite yet, but knowing how TY plays, perhaps thinking it's already there.
Yeah, and he would be right. It's almost hitting the field now. Spire being remade now for Rogue. It's going to have just like Abyssal Reef. He does want that Spire. He does want his Corruptors out. He knows TY loves his Liberators, and he's starting to get prepared for him.
TY has gone into Cyclone Hellion. Like that's something that he's actually doing here. He's getting +2. I wonder what the idea is behind this. You know, this is a very popular style, I would say almost like a year ago at this point. Unless you were all-inning with it, or if Gumiho is playing Battle Mech. But to go back into it feels like perhaps looking for an opportunity to catch the Locusts, well, no Locusts, basically, is what I'm trying to say. The Cyclones and the Hellions can move away. That's what's so great about them. They can move anywhere they want. They don't have to be sieged up like Liberators and tanks. And if you can just run away from the Locusts and then come back, that's like 20-30 supply that's just not actually helping.
TY is making so many Cyclones right now. This is weird, but a very heavy-hitting army when it does have +2 attack. Cyclones will mince through pretty much everything on the ground.
It's Odyssey at this time. We're getting into the late game of a TVZ, and you're going back into Cyclones. It could work out. We have some Thor micro going down.
Oh, nice.
Dang.
He does lose it in the end, but nice little hot pickups there from TY. Oh, Locust being dropped here. Not all of them. Oh, there we go. All of them getting down there at that base to try and mince through that work account. Does TY lift the CC?
Well, this is an opportunity I was talking about, but he doesn't quite have enough Cyclones or +2 to take advantage of the no Locust army. These Locusts even grabbing a couple of units, a couple SCVs. TY not going to be too upset about this. He does have so many, and replacing workers, which he doesn't need to do at 72, is not a problem. It is definitely more about that army, but it's a faster building army because it's Hellion Cyclone.
And damn straight. He is starting to switch out, though, getting the air units down in the second starport as well. Banshee's leading the charge. Can be very, very nice against the Roaches and the Ravagers. Of course, Cyclones are here to deal with the Locusts and also fight the Roaches head on. Moving back from those piles, the Banshees getting bullied back by the Queens, actually, because of this creep spread from Rogue. Rogue actually can see the Queens in to try and push him away.
TY has the +2, is working on 3-1. Rogue currently on 2-1 and continuing to harass with the Locusts. This is a planetary. Funnily enough, that might have been better as an orbital so he could lift it.
Yeah.
Can't deal with the Lings, but at least he can lift it away from the Locusts. Is going to be lost. That was an easy grab for Rogue.
Certainly was. And TY getting supply blocked very heavily here after losing that base. Needs to make the depots come down. Now Rogue has to deal with this army. TY looking for a hatchery kill at least.
This is very similar to last game, you know, the constant attacks left to right. TY is playing mech as he would bio, but it didn't end up working out last game. He eventually got conquered by Rogue's own counterattacks as well as the superior army, never losing or barely losing the Swarm host. Even though his economy was dying, his army always stayed pretty good.
Roaches usually trading out very, very nicely against Hellions, making sure that 4th hasn't been retaken by TY. Locust being pooped out here at a very nice location, going straight for the worker line. TY lifts it immediately. Is going to lose more SCVs, but he has more where that came from. And these Swarm hosts are off cooldown.
I feel like TY is looking for that perfect opportunity where the Locusts are on cooldown and this entire army can actually take on what is only Roaches and Ravagers, but it's just not quite happening, and he's losing a lot of supply trying to do this.
He certainly is. The Ravagers are coming from the back. Rogue looking like he has a bit of a surround here. TY's army spread very, very thinly. The Banshees are doing a good job. This hatchery will go down, but can he fight the army?
TY's plan is just not working out here. Rogue is getting so much damage done. It's not nearly as close as it was on Abyssal Reef.
Oh, man.
And TY looks to be in dire straits.
He certainly does. This could be it for our Terran player here. Rogue is poised to take this series. GG! Jin Green Wings Rogue, the best Zerg in South Korea, is going to be facing Sue, the 6-time finalist. Will Sue finally make the magic happen, or will Rogue continue his incredibly hot 2017?
What an interesting way to end that series. TY perhaps getting shaken. He was up 2-0, lost the third game to, I can only say, his Ling counterattacks, and that continued to curse him for the next 3 games, just never doing as much damage as Rogue was dealing to him.
Unfortunate reverse sweep there for TY fans, for TVZ fans out there. But we are going to have a cracker of a final, a well-deserved victory for Rogue, who has just been looking incredible this year with the Shanghai victory, with the Super Tournament victory. He's just been unstoppable. And let's go to the stage with our winner, Rogue and Smix.
Congratulations, Rogue. The last time you were at the WCS Global Finals, it was 2 years ago, and your road stopped at the top 4. This time, you've rewritten history, and you've made it all the way to the Grand Finals. How important is this moment for you?
지난번에 블리츠컨에 왔을 때는 4강에서 멈췄잖아요. 근데 이번에 이제 결승까지 가는데 이 순간이 얼마나 뜻깊고 이제 중요한지 얘기해 주세요.
이렇게 제가 패패 승승승을 일단 제가 방송 경기에서 처음 해보는 것 같은데 저번처럼 3대 0으로 질까봐 되게 긴장 많이 했는데 결승을 이렇게 불리한 경기도 역전해서 가게 되니까 너무 행복해요.
So I was really nervous because I thought it'd be a similar situation as I've had before, where it would turn into a 3-0 loss, but I'm just so happy that I was able to come back from being down 2-0 and coming back to win 3-2, and that makes me so much happier. And speaking of that, that is such a difficult thing to do for a player. Being down 2-0, how were you able to come back and win 3-2?
이제 2대 0으로 지고 있을 때 정말 어려운 상황이잖아요. 네, 그 상황에서 어떻게 역전을 하고 3대 1로 이길 수 있었나요?
그냥 마음 편하게 했던 게 제일 중요했던 것 같아요. 2대 0 되니까 그냥 이기기는 힘들 것 같고 그냥 마음 편하게 하고 그냥 가서 쉬자라는 마인드로 했는데 그게 더 잘 된 것 같아요.
So he says, when the score became 2-0, I decided to just relax and let go of any sort of nerves or tension that I had. I thought, let's not stress too much about this. I just want to play the best that I can, and even if I were to lose, let's just go back and rest. But somehow that ended up with me playing even better, and I was able to come back all the way from being down 2-0 to winning 3-2. And now, in the last round, you had to take down a Protoss and Hero. You just took down a Terran and TY. And in the grand finals, you have to face an amazing Zerg in Su. Are you confident that you can take him down?
이제 8강에서는 토스인 김준호 선수를 이기고 이번에는 테란 전태양을 이기고 결승전에서는 저그 선수, 어연수 선수로 만날 건데 자신 있으신지요?
일단 제가 종족 저그 대 저그전을 제일 자신 있어 하니까 윤수 형을 꼭 만나고 싶었고 제가 그동안 그래도 연습 때 저그 대 저그전 되게 많이 해가지고 실력에도 자신이 있기 때문에 또 윤수 형이 또 결승에서 많이 약하기도 하고 그래서 굉장히 지금 자신이 있어요.
So he says, I'm feeling overall so great right now. When it comes to ZvZ, it's actually my absolute favorite matchup. It's something that I've practiced a lot and I've always done really well. And because of that, I really actually wanted to face Su. So I'm really happy that I will be facing him. And on top of that, we all know that Su struggles when it comes to the grand finals. So all in all, I'm feeling really good about facing him in the grand finals. So congratulations again, Rogue. And with that, we have our WCS Global Grand Finals match set. It will be Rogue versus Su.